News right here just at 5 within the last hour. A Jeffersontown apartment complex caught fire, sending smoke billowing into the sky this afternoon. It's our top story for you at 5 o'clock. Hello, everybody. I'm Doug Proffitt.
And I'm Connie Leonard. The firefighters on the scene told us they actually had to dig out the fire hydrant due to it being covered in an icy patch of snow. Now, crews are still on the scene now in the 8600 block of Park Laureate Drive, near Stony Brook Drive and Taylorsville Road.
WHAS11's Alex Dieterer and photojournalist Aspen Hester have been on the scene for a couple of hours now and give us the latest on the fire. Alex, how quickly were they able to get it under control?
So, Doug, Connie, we spoke to a couple of residents who said fairly quickly, and the crews are still here on scene. There are multiple crews. There's Fern Creek Fire and EMS, J-Town Fire, and Anchorage Middletown Fire and EMS still here. Now, take a look at the apartment right now. You can see that the flames are gone. The smoke is still lingering a little bit. Again, crews have remained on scene, but there's no more flames coming out of the apartment. But you can see at the top, right at the top of the apartment, just a hole. It's gaped a hole inside the apartment complex. And what we heard from Captain Amber Cobb with J-Town Fire and EMS, she did say 12 units have been impacted. And she also said that no one was injured. They didn't find any residents who had been injured by this fire that happened around 3 this afternoon. But we heard from residents who say animals were still left in the apartment complex. We don't know their condition right now. But again, 12 units have been impacted, and Red Cross is here talking with those impacted residents. One resident said she's unsure when she's going to even be able to get back into her apartment, which is adjacent to the complex that had the fire, and they're still looking into they're still investigating on the cause of the fire. But right now, crews remain. Red Cross is here, and residents are still waiting for answers to see when they can get back into their homes. Connie, Doug.
Alex, thank you very much. A major stunner to the bottom line today. Ford reporting nearly $5 billion in losses, and they expect more to come in 2026. We, of course, are talking about one of Louisville's and Kentucky's biggest employers, and that is Ford.
A big tariff hit and lower demand for electric vehicles are the factors in the losses. On an earnings call yesterday, Ford's leadership reported the EV division lost $4.8 billion in 2025, and they expect similar losses over the next 3 years.
So right here tonight, WHAS11's Conroy Deluche and photojournalist Connie Offit took the pulse to see how this news could be impacting Louisville.
The big question is America ready for EV cars?
Looking at the demand, infrastructure, and Ford's reported losses, U of L economics professor Jose Fernandez says not quite there yet.
For anyone with an EV car, the idea of going several states over in your car, it takes a lot of planning.
Listening to Ford's earnings call, he says the drop in shares and tariffs were big factors in the big loss.
And they're expected to pay another $2 billion associated with these tariffs in the future.
At Bill Collins Ford in Louisville, GM Shane Collins says the disruption in F-150 production did hit inventory hard.
And then it's still just an affordability thing. You know, obviously interest rates are starting to come down, but, you know, the price of vehicles is still a little bit high.
Collins says that their EV inventory is relatively low, so the news about losses and the pivot by Ford, they don't really have an impact. But hindsight's 2020.
Had they been able to put that into a few more affordable vehicle lines, you know, that are either hybrid or internal combustion, you know, that would probably have helped us, you know, have more opportunities for people and more vehicles to sell. But, you know, obviously that didn't happen.
He says that sales at the dealership are holding steady, and the Bronco Sport and Mavericks are selling well. As for EV's future, we saw 2 high-profile moves in Kentucky announced last year. The Louisville assembly plant will get $2 billion in upgrades to build the company's first mid-size 4-door electric pickup. And down in Glendale, the newly constructed battery plants will be transitioned to battery storage, meeting the energy needs moving forward.
If we really believe that AI is going to be coming on and pushing forward, we're going to need a way to hold on to this type of energy.
Dr. Fernandez says he does not expect to see the impact from those Ford moves until after 2027. Reporting, Conroy Deluche, WHAS 11 on your side.
That transition of the Glendale plants was just announced in December, a move that meant 1,600 workers were laid off.
Ford said they will add more than 2,000 jobs when it reopens, but that won't be until at least next year.
We had some sunshine today. The melting sort of held off a little bit more today as a cold front came in last night as we were all sleeping.
It did. I do want to point something out, though. Let's all take a look at the river. What do you notice? I mean, there's like no ice on it anymore.
I miss the ice. It was a weather phenomenon.
Yeah, hopefully everybody got their photos and videos the last couple of weeks because it's looking like water again. From our Bachman Auto Group U of L Health camera, temperatures today ran about 15 to 20 degrees cooler than yesterday, but still mid to upper 40s, right around 50 degrees. And another positive as we continue onward throughout the month of February is that our daylight hours are slowly but surely getting longer. Our sunrise today, 7:38, sunset at 6:17. And it's going to be a pretty quiet evening across the area. Max HD radar, all is dry, just tracking a few high clouds that are filtering in from the west here. So expect mostly clear to partly cloudy conditions. Temperatures will dip down into the 20s. So any of those big patches of snow that have been slowly melting, they could create some slick spots on the roads and on the sidewalks. Be aware of that. Otherwise, we are watching a rain chance for Valentine's Day weekend. I'll be timing that out coming up in our 7-day forecast.
Thank you so much, Mallory. Well, JCPS Superintendent Brian Yearwood said he intends to eliminate 600 positions at the district, and it comes after he said 300 jobs would be cut from the central office.
In fact, that new detail coming out of that school board meeting last night where they actually pushed off the big vote on the job cuts until Friday night. Ariane Hardwick and senior photojournalist Alyssa Newton tonight report on the cuts and the news that JCPS also plans to add jobs.
At a packed school board meeting Tuesday night, we learned for the first time that the number of jobs to be cut from JCPS will exceed 300. Superintendent Brian Yearwood said central office jobs means jobs paid from the central office even if they work in schools.
We're looking at eliminations of about 600 of those positions.
So, if we're cutting 300 central office jobs, let's do the math. Using JCPS's own numbers, we have 213 occupied positions cut with 74 vacant positions cut, equaling 287 total cuts. But factor in the 178 new positions and you end up with 109 net cuts. However, subtract from that the number of already unfilled positions and you're left with 35. And at the same time, Yearwood's organizational charts show expansions in the top of the district food chain. For example, more secondary superintendents. But Jefferson County Teacher Association President Maddie Shepard supports adding new teaching coaches that oversee each grade level.
There wasn't really a district level investment in that in the past, and there will be now, so I guess that's good. But by and large, schools are really taking the brunt of the budget cuts.
The teachers union showed up in red to protest the job losses in schools, leading up to $132 million in cuts the district's trying not to fall through its own cracks in the budget.
Ian, we noticed at the school board meeting last night that Dr. Yearwood was insistent. He really wanted that vote to be held last night. When the board members saying, hey, we only got the details of this complicated plan late the day before.
The board members are still trying to figure out exactly what jobs are being cut. We have a rough number of how many jobs. As far as what the urgency is on Yearwood's part, he says that some jobs require 15 days of notice to be posted. And because of this restructuring, a lot of people who are currently hired by the district will actually have to reapply for their jobs, and that takes time.
All right. Ian, thank you so much. Well, the board's already been cutting. They've already decided on some decisions related to the budget. Last month, as you know, board members voted to close King Elementary and Zachary Taylor Elementary School. The closures will happen at the end of this school year. Liberty High School will also relocate to the Gaines Early Childhood Center. The district previously saying the closures would save about $4 million. Happening today, all new in Frankfort, a bill advancing in the Kentucky Senate would allow healthcare workers to deny providing services that violate their religious, moral, or ethical beliefs. It states that any healthcare professional in Kentucky has the right to refuse to offer any service that goes against their conscience. Supporters say it'll help recruit and retain doctors and nurses, which are needed in Kentucky. The sponsor is a doctor.
I'm tired of us taking our most highly trained, our most intelligent, our most dedicated people and telling them that you don't have proper morals, which is what we're telling them.
But opponents of the bill, including the Fairness Campaign in Louisville, say it would open the door to discrimination, especially for people of color and the LGBTQ community.
As healthcare providers, we take an oath to do no harm. That oath does not change based on who the patient is or what someone believes. Religious and political beliefs do not belong in the exam room.
Senate Bill 72 passed through the committee today with Republicans voting yes and Democrats voting no. It goes now to the Senate floor for consideration. We'll have more on this tonight at 6.
Today, Commonwealth's attorney Jarena Weathers was critical of a judge's decision to cut a jury sentence of a convicted rapist by more than half.
WHAS11 News first broke the story of Christopher Thompson Friday night at 11. A jury recommended that he get 65 years.
Now here's some background on the case. Police say Thompson wore a ski mask, forced a woman into her car at gunpoint in South Louisville, drove her to an elementary school parking lot, sexually assaulted her, took her to an ATM for cash, then assaulted her again.
Early last week, Circuit Court Judge Tracy Davis reduced the jury's recommendation down to 30 years, citing his age and potential for rehabilitation. Today on camera, Weathers said what she stated Friday night. She backs the jury.
The judge has discretion. They have discretion on sentencing. But what our responsibility is that if we have put everything in front of a jury and that we believe based on the evidence that we need to move forward in trial, that's why we're there, then we are going to move forcefully to make sure that the sentencing that happens with the jury is carried out.
Now, Weathers continued to say the jury is there for a reason. Community members review evidence, hear witnesses, and decide a punishment that fits.
She said the jury in the case witnessed Thompson lash out at the prosecutor and took everything in consideration when making their decision. Thompson also did receive extra time for contempt after outbursts in court and can seek parole after serving 20 years.
Who in your organization made this massive failure and released the victims' names?
Did you ask Merrick Garland that the last 4 years?
Coming up, U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi clashing with Thomas Massie of Kentucky and other lawmakers today over the DOJ's handling the Epstein files. What happened at Capitol Hill, the intense exchange, coming up.
And here's a look at today's Kentucky Lottery jackpots. Mega Millions, $385 million. Powerball, $126 million.